All right, let's talk about a team that will probably not be the favorite to win the Pac-12. Colorado. I want to roundtable this because we probably all have thoughts on it. And Ari and I actually speaking yesterday about this and a lot of kind of bounce around some ideas. And I think everyone's excited or thought it was cool that Deion went to Colorado. Like, it's good for college football. We're talking about college football. It's good for business and all that. And I was pretty convinced, or had an opinion, that he was going to do well. Maybe not this year, but like, especially with the Pac-12 losing USC and UCLA, that they should be a top-tier program in that league with the talent they're bringing. If I was 80% convinced of that happening a month ago, I'm maybe 50 or 60%. Maybe I'm old school. This past week has been alarming. Kind of like Ari joked at the beginning, like, how are they going to field a roster? I know that's just a short-term question, but I think there's something to be said about culture in college football and, running off this many kids. And I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, but even the ones that aren't being run off, they're seeing what's happening in the program, no spots secure. And I'm questioning a little bit the long-term sustainability of this type of program. So let's just go around, Manny. Let's start with you. What are your thoughts on what's happened at Colorado recently? And has it changed your opinion of Deion's ability to win in the long term?
Yeah, well, as a guy who's covering sort of a rebuild down here at Miami, and knowing that Mario wanted to run off a bunch of guys, over a span of 18 months, as he sort of got to know this roster, to see Deion sort of do this with the fast forward button on and just kind of holding it and saying, we're just going to do all of this now and pull, kind of rip the Band-Aid off. It has been kind of surprising because I don't know. I mean, at least in my memory, I don't know of any other college coaches who have done it this aggressively. And to me, he's got to know that he's got a lot of players in the bag, so to speak, as far as the transfer portal is concerned, to run off, the amount of guys that he has. Now, look, they were 1-11 last year. None of this should be surprising, right? Like, they were really, really bad. So none of this is like, wow, I can't believe he dumped this guy. But there are some core players that have sort of that were starters for them last year, that were pretty good players, that have left. And that's been the little surprise for me. But what I'm interested in now is who he really gets, how many of those guys are already in the portal, or how many of those guys will be putting their name in the portal the next couple of days because those spots are now available. So I'm fascinated by it all. I think it's unprecedented in college football to see a coach sort of go in there and make this much work of his roster this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, fascinated is the right word. I think we're all fascinated. Grace, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. Fascinating, a little confusing. I think my biggest question is, we've seen, like, through David Ovens reporting, just the way that Deion has parted ways with these kids. Some of them have never had conversations with him. And so I have a lot of questions about his ability to connect with people that he might not necessarily need, but will need down the line, AKA high school coaches.
Yeah.
I think that's such a huge part of recruiting, is like being able to have a relationship with a coach that you don't need now, but might need later. And so that part is just the relational part, I think, is the most alarming part to me.
Yeah, read all these. You guys know this better than me because you talk to high school coaches, but read all those recruiting confidentials we've done. And the message you get from high school coaches is, yeah, Coach Ari, he knew we didn't have anybody in the class this year for his team, but he came by, sat down with me, and I really appreciated that. So, how big of an influence is that going to have on the type of kids Deion's recruiting, the top 100 guys for the top 2, blue chippers? We don't know. So, but that's a great point. Ari,
you mentioned something in the beginning, your preamble, that I think is interesting. It's like, I don't know. I still think that culture is important in college, right? And I don't think that anybody is disagreeing with that, but I think that what he's doing is eradicating the poor culture, right? Like, that's what he's doing. He's getting rid of the losing aspect of the program because the talent wasn't high enough, and replacing it with his guys who will then form the culture that he anticipates having at Colorado. So I think the thing that's most shocking about this is it's not that it happens everywhere. It just doesn't happen to this scale. And I don't know if this makes me feel like I'm more or less think he's going to win or lose. I don't think that's to happen. I just don't know if mathematically how this is going to work, because, like, how many, like, does anybody know their scholarship count? Do they have like 20 guys on scholarship right now?
I think it's in the mid-20s right now.
So if it's in the mid-20s right now, are you saying that he's got to go sign over 50 players in the portal.
Well, I think there's some incoming freshmen. I shouldn't.
Is it 20 including the freshmen?
I think the number is closer to the mid 40s. I think.
Yeah.
Of how many they have.
Okay, so they're gonna have to go get 40 to 45 guys in the portal during a time in which the portal is much. It's not as deep as it was.
Slimmer pickings.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like if Colorado's roster was that bad that you can take 40 guys or 45 guys out of the portal now and improve it, then I think that he did his job. But also too, it's like, what's Deion Sanders' runway for success here? Because like they're going to stink this year. Like I don't think that that's even a hot take. Even if they have guys like Cormani McLean coming in, like you would know this more than I would, but he's like not supposed to be a day one Travis Hunter producer, right. You know, and I know they have Travis Hunter and I know they have Shedeur Sanders and, you know, a few of the other guys that they signed in last year's class. But like, when you think about the depth and the bodies that you need to win at a high level in this sport, Colorado doesn't even have the bodies. So, you know, the one thing that I don't appreciate about him is he went on the Pat McAfee show on Wednesday, and McAfee said, "You got 41 guys in the portal," and he goes, "That only that much?" Like, it's almost like it's just the way he talks, it's like kind of disrespectful to me. Like, of just like, these are kids that are just trying, and I know they're compensated, and I know they've got more power now.
But some of the guys, I want to butt in there because continue your thought. Like, a lot of the guys he's running off aren't compensated.
Yeah.
They're just 3-star kids who were clawing their way. Maybe were a rotational offensive lineman at Colorado. They're not making money from NIL, and wherever they go, they're not making money from NIL. They're just getting run off.
Yeah, and if they get run off, that's part of the game now. Like, as much as we don't want to accept the professionalization of college football, it is what it is. Like, and I saw that Colorado offered these kids the ability to remain on scholarship at the university, just not be on the team anymore.
They have to, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, people want to go pursue other options and play sport. And like, he was hired to win, and you have to do this to win. I just don't think that we've ever seen it happen this quickly and this drastically. So it's kind of a shock to the system. And I'm not necessarily sure I believe that everybody that he gets in the portal is going to be an improvement over what he ran off. So to me, I'm more concerned about, you know, how he's going to fill out his roster in the fall more so than I am about the, you know, I don't know if I feel like he's more likely to fail now as a result of it because of culture, because he's going to tell his guys, like Andy said on the show yesterday, those weren't my guys, you're my guys. And then you form the culture with your guys.
Yeah. So, and I don't know the kid's name. I think he was actually the lead to David Ubben's story, the tight end, maybe was a Colorado legacy. Like, and call me
as an offensive tackle, I thought.
Call me corny, whatever. But like, how many stories do you hear, like a team that goes to a bowl game in third year under a coach and they go 7-5, they were 2-10 the first 2 years, and the guys are like, we stayed with it. You know, we came in here, we won 4 games our first 2 years, and we built a bond with these guys and we grew up together. Like, that kid specifically, he's a Colorado legacy. Don't you think he's going to bust his ass for Deion in Colorado and just discard him like that? It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, I think you think you can build a culture with some poor players who want to be there. There's probably some guys on scholarship there who were just on scholarship. They went to Colorado like, you know what? This is a cool place. Team sucks. I'll get a free education. Those are the guys you don't want in your locker room. But I'm sure there were some guys in there that were busting their ass and would love to have stayed. And maybe they wouldn't have contributed that much, but they would have contributed to maybe trying to build a winning culture.
I think Deion's doing this in a way that so many other coaches wish they could do it. You know, he's kind of gone in there, like you said, and just it's about his culture and wanting to set the stage. I think Mario Cristobal a year ago would have loved to have done the same thing, but I don't think he had the confidence that the school would necessarily back him paying for 70 kids to go to school for free, you know? So I think he's just more brash about it. And I think there's a lot of other coaches who wish they could have done what he's done in their first year.
Yeah, also, too, like those heartwarming stories that you see on College Game Day usually are with teams that have lost 7 games in a year. Like, you don't hear that with teams that are very often. Like, Alabama doesn't have the heartwarming legacy who happens to be on scholarship who worked really hard and then in year 4
not a lot
made
of programs like Alabama, though.
No, I know.
Colorado
but
is not.
But Colorado. So what's Colorado's ceilings? Utah?
I mean,
like, is that what they should be? Utah
I think
Oregon?
they're going with Deion Sanders, and if things go well, it's to be the best, one of the top 2 or 3 programs in the new look Pac-12.
I just don't think that Deion Sanders thinks like that.
Yeah, that's
like,
fine.
And I love that
my opinion. He's got his opinion. You know,
but I know
his
that you
opinion is the one that matters.
Have like that, like, you know, student athlete, like you love the movie Rudy, right? Like
I've
it's like
never, I've
that's
never seen Rudy.
really, you would really like it. I think
No,
you
I
might even
wouldn't.
cry
No, I wouldn't. You know why?
because he's a Ponzi scheme and he rips people
No,
off financially. Oh,
because I grew up and I don't anymore. I grew up hating Notre Dame, so I wasn't going to watch any Notre Dame propaganda. So that's why.